Hello, and welcome to Kimball Bay's daily devotionals and vlog. Thank you for joining me today. Today's focus is going to be on Jesus, the Beloved. Now, the word beloved occurs in Scripture many different times, all throughout the Old and New Testament. But today we're going to be focusing on the New Testament's definition, infinitely and divinely loved by God. So we're going to first look at a verse out of Isaiah. So the prophet Isaiah is telling of the coming Christ, the coming Messiah, and his work on earth. And Isaiah 42:1 reads this way. It says, "Here is my servant whom I uphold, my chosen one in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will proclaim justice to the nations." Matthew 12:18 uses that exact same verse, but here it changes it and it quotes it as, "Here is my servant whom I have chosen." And in some translation it says, "My beloved in whom my soul delights. I will put my spirit on him, and he will bring justice to the nations." Now, God speaks 3 different times audibly to Christ in Scripture, and we're going to look at the first 2. We're going to look at Jesus' baptism and the transfiguration. So at his baptism, John the Baptist is baptizing Jesus in the Jordan River, and the sky opens up and God says, and a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son whom I love. With him I am well pleased." The second time God audibly speaks to Christ is on top of a mountain where Peter, John, and James are with Jesus. And they hear in Matthew 17:5, "While he was still speaking, a bright cloud enveloped them, and a voice from the cloud said, 'This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. Listen to him. Listen to him.'" I think the more we learn about Jesus and the more we understand that he is the beloved, the one infinitely and divinely loved by God, I think the more we find out about who we truly are. I think it's interesting that the acceptance of Jesus as the beloved Son, as the beloved, comes before any of his miracles are performed, before any of the testing in the wilderness has happened, before the sacrifice on the cross occurs. All of that has not happened before God says, "This is my Son whom I love. I am well pleased with him." You see, God's approval was not based on what Jesus was going to do or what he had already done. It was based on who he was, the beloved. Now you might be saying, what does that mean to us? Well, I want you to think about a wedding ceremony. I know all of us have gone to a ceremony or heard these words before in our own marriage ceremonies. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the presence of God." Do we actually know what those words mean? Dearly beloved. You know, as I was researching this topic and trying to put this talk together, I came across a quote from a theology professor. And he said, "The epidemic of our time is self-doubt and self-deprecation. The prevailing sense of being without worth is the pervasive sickness of our age." Self-doubt, self-deprecation, lack of worth. Now, I'm a mother of 2 boys, and one is currently learning to read. And as my husband and I help him, we're starting to look at words through his eyes. Most of the words are quite small, although we are starting to get onto some compound words, words that are created by 2 smaller words being put together. So let's take a look, for instance, at the word beloved, compound word. 2 words, be and loved. I think that's the pandemic that the world has been suffering from long before COVID-19 has come on the scene. Man's inability to be loved. You see, self-doubt, self-deprecation, lack of self-worth, they all stem from the inability to be loved, whether we recognize our need for it or just refuse to accept it. the beloved, Jesus, God's Son. That is who we need to be loved by. John 1:12 brings us words of encouragement. It says, "But to all you who believe him and accept him, he gave the right to become children of God." God said his Son was his beloved Son, and he gives us the right to also be called beloved children. Choose to be a beloved son or daughter. Put your faith in Jesus, not his works, not his teachings, but the very essence of the person of Jesus, the beloved. When we begin to see him in our own reflection, and we begin to understand that our acceptance is given to us through him, then we too are called beloved. So I leave you with this compound word. Choose to be loved by the beloved Jesus. God bless you.